What's up, guys? Welcome to G Whiskey. I'm Jeff. This is a channel where I have my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and every once in a while I'll throw in other whiskey related content. Today I've got a list for you guys. This is a list that was made by my patrons. I asked them to vote for their top 7, or no, sorry, it's the top 10 list. Their top 10 Island whiskeys, and they did just that, so it should be a fun one. Stick around. Okay, so I'm doing, I guess you could call it a series right now, where I just kind of ask my patrons to vote on their favorite whiskeys from a specific region. The last time we did their top 7 Highland whiskeys, and today it's not a top 7, it's a top 10, and we're doing Island whiskeys. Now, I'm not really a big stickler for regions. I know there's going to be someone down in the comments saying that, formally speaking, the Islands is part of the Highlands region. It's not a separate thing. Informally, though, a lot of people see the Islands as kind of its own thing. I do myself, and whatever. I felt like doing a list. Once again, I take zero credit for this list. It's all from my patrons, and that's pretty much the whole concept. As usual, guys, I do have a mystery pour in my glass here. Your hint for today is that this is an Island whiskey that doesn't appear on the list that I reviewed very recently, and it's a very good one. So that's everything covered. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into our list. In the meantime, if you'll kindly leave a like down below, that would be greatly appreciated. Starting things off at number 10, we've got the most surprising entry on this list. Surprising for me, at least. I didn't expect to see it here. This one is a blended malt from Douglas Lang. It is called Rock Oyster. Island. Rock Island. Used to be called Oyster. Now, there are loads of iterations of this stuff. There is cask strength, there's Chinese New Year releases, there's a 10-year-old, there's a 14-year-old, there's a rum cask, there's a sherry cask, all different types. But what we're looking at today is just the standard, no age stated one that's really widely available and quite affordable. Now, Rock Island is actually my favorite line from the Douglas Lang Fantastic Regional Malt series. They have different regions that they kind of focus on with their blended malts, and this one being from the islands, it's the most coastal. We have this gentle peat, it tends to be brighter, very vibrant whiskeys. It's my favorite of the lines, and they used to have a great one called Rock Oyster before the rebrand, Rock Oyster 18. Love that one. Excellent 18-year-old, great bang for buck. But anyway, the standard one, pretty solid stuff. It's craft, it's non-chill filtered, it's natural color, it's 46%. The price is reasonable, and we have a great profile here. So even though it is a bit of a surprise, it is a solid whiskey. Comes in at number 10, Rock Island. Next up at number 9, we've got a Talisker. This one is the Talisker DE, or Distiller's Edition. This is a no-age stated whiskey. It's an annual release. It comes out every year because that's what annual releases do. What's interesting with this one is that it used to have vintages. They used to give you the year of distillation, and they kind of stopped doing that recently, which is unfortunate. The idea behind this one is that it has been finished in Amoroso seasoned American oak casks. So it's basically a no age stated Talisker with a sherry finish. So this is a great option if you like Talisker, but you want it to be a little bit fruitier and a little bit sweeter. And if you want a fruity and sweet Talisker, personally, I think this is a much better choice than the one that's finished in port casks. That one's called the Port whatever. That one has its fans, but I'm not one of them. This one, however, I do genuinely like. I think it's a fantastic whiskey. I actually have a bottle on the go right now. I will be reviewing that at some point down the line, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, for the sake of this list, it comes in at number 9, Talisker Distiller's Edition. Next up, coming in at number 8, we've got an Arran release. This one is the Quarter Cask. Now, this one used to come in batches before Arran rebranded a few years back, and I actually prefer those older versions compared to what we're getting now. But that said, what we're getting now is still a fantastic whiskey. This stuff has great intensity. It comes in at a cask strength of 56.2%. It's been matured in quarter casks, which give us more interaction between the wood and the spirit, so it kind of speeds up the aging process. I would say that out of what Arran is giving us today, this is one of their more distillate-driven whiskeys, less so than it used to be, but still quite spirit-forward, and we can really taste the essence of Arran in there. So it's a really good one, and it comes in at number 8, Arran Quarter Cask. At number 7, we've got another Arran. This one is the Sherry Cask. So this is another no age stated cask strength expression from Arran, and this one gives us a whole lot of flavor at 55.8%. Here we're getting typical sherry notes, and what's nice is that this is a sherry forward whiskey. It's a sherry driven whiskey, but the casks don't completely overwhelm the Arran distillate, so we have a nice balance between the casks and the distillate, and it comes together very nicely. So this stuff is balanced, it's punchy, it's fruity, it's sweet, but it's not too sweet, it's available, it's affordable. So if you're a sherry lover, this is a great option. Comes in at number 7, Arran Sherry Cask. At number 6, we have Talisker 10. Now, this is a controversial one because a lot of people think it's not as good as it used to be. Now, I did a comparison between the new and old Talisker 10 a while back, and everything I said in that video is wrong. It happens. I said the new stuff is as good as the old stuff, and I rescind that. It is not as good, but it is still good. So yes, this one has gone downhill a bit, but I still think it's a great pour if you want an introduction to the Talisker house style, which is very gently peaty, it's coastal, it's mineralic, and it's peppery. Talisker is one of my all-time favorite house styles, and while this is definitely not the best thing you can get from them, the fact that it's sold pretty much everywhere, and everywhere you do see it, it's very affordable, means this is a really solid option, and despite not being as good as it used to be, it's still a solid bottle. So check it out, comes in at number something, Talisker 10. All right, so we're kicking off the top 5 here, and at number 5, we've got the Ledaig Rioja Cask Finish. Now, this is a bit of a controversial one. It tends to be kind of love it or hate it. I personally love it. There's a lot of people out there who will tell you this is better than the 10-year-old. I'm in that camp, although I'm sure a lot of you disagree. Regardless, I think it's one of the best bang-for-buck peated whiskeys on the market right now. Its detractors will tell you this whiskey is too young and they don't really see the appeal. I can appreciate that. It is young whiskey, but I think our Rioja casks have added some great flavors here, and they've rounded the whiskey off nicely. And personally, I just have a lot of fun with this one because it's such a dramatic whiskey. We get these big, young, peaty flavors. We get these intense, sweet, fruity cask flavors. They come together nicely. It's definitely not boring. It's a very bold whiskey. And yeah, it's not for everyone, but I'm a fan. Comes in at number 5, Ledaig Rioja Cask Finish.
Actually, Jeff, it's pronounced Rioja.
I don't care. Okay, for number 4, we've got my personal favorite whiskey on this list. Now, obviously, I didn't choose these bottles, I didn't choose this ranking, but if I were given these 10 whiskeys and asked to rank them, this would easily be my number 1. This one is the Talisker Wilder Seas Parlay. Now, this is a limited release, so grab it while you still can. This one has been very heavily discounted in the UK recently, so if you're in the UK, I hope you loaded up on this stuff. I definitely would for the price. What we've got here is a no age stated Talisker, but it's got some added intensity. This one comes in at 48.6% ABV. And what's interesting about this one is that it's been finished in XO cognac casks, which is not something you see every day. And honestly, that could go either way. But as far as I'm concerned, the result is a very cohesive, interesting, characterful, and rich Talisker. So obviously, I love this one, and I definitely recommend, if this sounds interesting to you, that you grab it while you still can. As I said, my favorite whiskey on this list comes in at number 4, Talisker Parlay Wilder Seas. Coming in at number 3, we've got the most intense, easily the most intense whiskey on this list. This one is the Highland Park Cask Strength. Now, I think the latest batch release was number 4. I have not had that one yet. The last one I had was the batch 3. I reviewed it on the channel. And it's not a whiskey that's messing around. This one definitely benefits from some time and some water. In the last review that I did of this one, the batch 3, being the master of analogies that I am, I compared this one to banging a Klingon. Probably very exciting, probably very enjoyable, probably also very painful. Some of you might not survive, but it was worth a shot. Especially if you're an intensity chaser, if you like that cask strength stuff, or if you're a fan of the Highland Park profile, which is heathery peat and sherry. This is a great option. It's a fun whiskey. Comes in at number 3, Highland Park Cask Strength. At number 2, we start getting into more predictable territory, but that's fine. Not everything needs to be a curveball, and we're kind of celebrating the classics here. At number 2, we've got Ledaig 10. This stuff is legendary at this point. It's a classic PD profile. I actually have a patron who doesn't like classifying this as an island whiskey. He would rather lump it in with the Islay stuff, which honestly makes sense. I mean, the geography doesn't work out, but in terms of character, this would be right at home on Islay. Obviously, this one is peaty. It's also a little bit funky. We get some nice intensity. I would imagine that most of you watching have probably tried this one before, but if you have not tried this one, it is a great whiskey. It comes in at a great price, and it's pretty easy to find as well. So definitely worth trying. Check it out. Comes in at number 2, Ledaig 10. At number 1, we've got Arran 10, and yes, this one is very predictable. That's fine though. It seems like anytime there's voting involved, whether it's the Oswa crowd or whether it's my humble patrons, this stuff comes out on top. And that in itself is very telling. Arran 10 is an excellent whiskey. I know it gets some hate out there just because it is so popular and it's won so many Oswas, but there's a reason for that. This is a great whiskey. We've got the Arran profile here. Arran is an excellent distillate. It's very vibrant. We've also got very good cask play. Now this has leaned more and more into the cask influences in recent years. I actually preferred it back in the day when it was less cask driven, but even then, the cask influence that we're getting today is masterfully done, and we have a great balance. And once again, we've got a whiskey that's very widely available and affordable. So it's delicious, it's craft, it's available, and it's affordable. Of course, all four of those elements come together. You're gonna have a popular whiskey, so honestly, this makes sense as number one. So there we go, Arran 10. All right, that was the list, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Once again, it's not my list, it's my patrons list. I love getting them involved, and I would also love to get you involved. I want to hear from you. What are your favorite island whiskeys? Keep in mind that for this list, we talked about island whiskeys, but we excluded Islay whiskeys, and I would ask you guys to do the same in your suggestions. Now, the Islands is an informal branch off of the Highland region, whereas Islay is its own distinctive region. I know you come here for the geography lessons. Anyway, looking forward to reading about your favorites down below in the comments. And finally, for those of you who stuck around to find out what my mystery pour in the glass is, I'm drinking Ledaig 18. Now, this is one that I reviewed very recently, basically 2 or 3 days ago, and I loved it. And since my bottle is getting low, I figured I would pour another dram today. This is one of my favorite island whiskeys. It's one of my favorite 18-year-old whiskeys, and it's one of my favorite peat and sherry combos. It's an excellent whiskey, definitely worth checking out. I'll link my review somewhere. And that brings us to the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to help out the channel, I've got Patreon and PayPal down below. Looking forward to reading your comments. What are your favorite island whiskeys? And also you can put suggestions down there. So if there's a bottle you want to see me review, or if you have ideas for lists or concepts, let me know all of that. And I guess we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.